G'day, putters. Welcome to the deep dive. Curls, keep the microwave off. Hopefully you didn't have the microwave on too often there on Saturday night when you were out and about dressed as Freddie Mercury. How'd you go Saturday night?
There's video footage circling of me standing on a chair in the middle of the dance floor doing a magnificent rendition of Bohemian Rhapsody that the crowd was completely engrossed in and engaging in.
What about, most importantly, what about Mrs. Curley?
She was home, oblivious to it all, asleep. So I was able to sneak in under the radar. Anyway.
Talking to you?
Oh, yeah, we haven't started. What day is it? Monday afternoon.
Yeah, Monday.
At the time, yeah.
Did you watch the last thing at Toowoomba, which you took $3, $3.10 about, declared on the stream, started $1.75 and finished off a really strong day for the team? Did you watch it? And either way, well done.
I watched the replay.
It was glorious. It was absolutely glorious. He took the coffin, seas parted. Race caller got excited about this thing, like, coming for it.
Sheppy.
And you're like, it's not going to get near us. It was beautiful. Absolutely glorious. Peter, take us away.
Yes, indeed, Jack Dickens. It's a pleasure to welcome back to the show Data Guru, Josh Kadlec-Cavanagh. JKC, how you going?
Pretty good. Just another day in lovely Melbourne here in lockdown.
Well,
so
indeed.
cannot complain. I think we've got peak data for the 9 cases we had today, so looking good on the Punting Form DHSS data. 9 lengths above standard for our cases today. So
what was the sweet spot that you're expecting for today's data?
I was hoping 0 to get out of this mess by Thursday, but it looks like we'll be in for another week. It's a long carnival, the old Andrews Carnival.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll get there eventually, I'm sure. But we'll start at Eagle Farm because, Curls, there was some good wagering data. There was some good sectional data as well. We're starting off in race 1 with Incentivise, which was visually impressive. Was it data impressive?
Indeed. Settled 3 wide, no cover midfield and decided to push forward from the 1200 and roll to the top.
So the next closest horse in this race, just what I'm looking at, was 96,000 matched on the fair. Mm-hmm. There was 340,000 matched on this horse. It was 460 in from 9 a.m.
Yeah.
The writing was on the wall. This thing's going to do something pretty big.
Yeah, it was. And I'll probably start with my pre-race analysis. And this horse had come through heats of the Provincial Stayers Championship, which is a final in 2 weeks' time at Ipswich on Ipswich Cup Day, worth twice as much as what this race was worth to the winner, or thereabouts. So I sort of thought, I'll just wait and see what the betting does here before I took a small position on Masaf, and I thought I'll just wait and see what the betting does Incentivise, because this could easily just snag, poke along out the back and just, produce late and sort of find the line and get ready for 2 weeks' time and not cop a weight penalty or a ratings increase. $4.60 to $3 suggested otherwise, and he wrote it accordingly, which was the first. The betting move was the first thing. The ride was the second thing. Normally a horse that sort of gets back was, as I said, 3 wide, no cover, then worked forward to lead. Took the front at the 1200 and proceeded to run its last 1,000 in 58.72 and run the fastest last 200 of the meeting.
So having said that, we're headed towards the double prize money race in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Interesting the moral now?
No, I'd suggest Cox Plate now.
Yeah.
No, the Ipswich Cup's on the same day, so why not go to the? So there's a chance it could go there. Is what I'm saying. You got the Provincial Stayers final, which it had qualified for, which was 60-odd thousand to the winner, and you got $100,000 to the winner Ipswich Cup on the same day. So we'll see where he fits, but nothing behind him will ever beat him.
It was a really nice ride, I thought, too. If you look at the data,
Mm.
Just increased like from the 1,000 slowest was it slowed down the last 200, but it had won the race.
Yeah, it was dominant. Dominant in every way. It was a dominant. Now, it's a betting stay, what they bet. You'd rather be on them when they're firming than not. So it was just a dominant display from all angles there. On the data, on the on-track data, the wagering data, and the ride, it all lined up beautifully.
Mm.
Really
Which was always that easy.
Mm.
Where do you want to head now? Race 8 or race 5?
Oh, well, we're talking winners. We'll probably just go to race 8, then we'll skip back. Decent go this. 480 into 280 on the fixed. I think there's a fair discrepancy in match dollars matched on the fair as well. About the one at UA.
487,000 matched. Next best 160 bargain.
Not a lot of action.
I thought it was 880,000 there on the 13 Ruru Bossy, but no, it's just $884.
Wasn't a lot of action around the Uncle Chris runners, was there? Like Grayson Harmony was a drifter. The interesting one for me on watching the market was Easy Farb was as short as $10 at 11 o'clock race morning. It started $28 on the fair. The one that we identified from the preview was Charm Star of the Waller horse that might be able to improve, having it. You know, this was its second run for the stable from New Zealand. Ran well in running second, but it was a one active fair really. This thing just sat back, followed. Even Hugh said in the post race that he was following the wrong horse, so he had to wait a little bit longer than what he would have liked. But dominant, strong betting move, strong win. It once again lined up beautifully.
Well, I thought despite following the wrong horse, it was a really good ride again.
He knew what he had under him. I think that's what it comes down to.
Yep.
He knew he thought he was on the superior horse, and he was right. Didn't panic to try and get off that horse's back either. You know, like just let her.
How good do you think this horse is? What's its level? You ass.
You can easily get sort of carried away. Like it was a pretty low, not low win, but like it was dominant. But the rest, there's so many disappointing efforts behind it.
I think it's typical of like the week before, to the eye and to the brand of the race, like a Group 1, and you watch it on Channel 7. It's a big win and a great ride. This horse might be pretty good. It's gapped him. It's run a 5.7 above the all average Punting Form benchmark figure, which is like. So if you flick over, we're going to do it in depth, but race 1, 3, 6, all but 2 races at Flemington, all but 3 races at Flemington have run a bigger figure, honest. And it was just a winter meeting at Flemington.
Do we think it'll come down for the spring in Melbourne? Possibly 4-year-old filly and maybe try for a Caulfield Cup? Just get a spot?
Yeah. I think they'll... it's the yard to be ambitious with. And but you'd want to sort of see it do more than it's done, but at the same time, it can't run a bigger figure than it has run here with the race shape and the way it's ridden.
No, look, it's just slow tempo, slowly run race. Done all it had to do on the day, really. So
similar to the Aussie Oaks.
I'm not. Whatever. See what, like you say, it runs in a race with a hotter tempo, and it could run a bigger figure for sure.
Race 5, Baller wins, improves. Waller couldn't get this horse to go. Now it's going. How is this happening? Why is this happening? And how good can this horse get? Because it's run the biggest figure of the day, Baller. A 9.5 above the all average. It looks a genuine figure to me because it's running to the 600 figure strong and home from the 600 figure is strong. Sometimes you'll see a huge to the 600 that amplifies the overall. This looks pretty genuine.
Yeah, no fluke. he ran his last 1,000 in 56.5.
Seventh fastest last 4 and 2 of the day.
I've got him. Well, the punting form data has him running a length off his personal best, which was when he won a 3-year-old open handicap at Rose Hill when the horse was going super. So he's obviously always had this ability. And I think, this is the way the race panned out. Splintex was a little bit of a head scratcher when I first looked at the review because the money was there, Splintex. There was a bit of a drifter throughout the morning. But then come truth time, it was pretty strong.
Yeah.
Figures are there to suggest figures. The wagering data, if you've got it there, Jack, is pretty strong as well.
It's the main horse that the business was done on for sure. Like you said though, it was sort of a difference of opinion early on, and then late it's just one way. Big steamer, and it's run 8th of 9. What does that mean?
Well,
what does it all mean?
Post-race, stewards questioned the performance. Jockey said disappointing.
Why do they write that?
I know. Yeah, like they're too busy to put shoe reports in for trials, but they make time to write that shit.
Jockey disappointed. I actually thought it went pretty good, mate. They were just too good for us today.
So if you just look at the data, Splintex coming out of the Eduardo run, out of the Doomben 10,000, that day in the 10,000, the race went negative 11.3. Obviously, Eduardo leading. Splintex had a good gate one, could have either led or box seated or just controlled the tempo. So he chased Eduardo in negative 9.4 himself last time. Saturday he led and went out negative 8.5.
So what does that mean?
Well, look, he's gone too quick. He's gone fast, which I just sort of didn't pick that because there's only 9 in the race. There was no leader, but he gave it a dig and kept running and. Obviously he's got home in 10 lengths above, which is, as bad as he could go going through the historical punting form data.
He's handled a good tempo before too.
Yeah.
Was it a disadvantage on Saturday to be rails and run again?
They were still coming away from the fence.
Just looking at the wides like this race, you see Baller's gone from lane 2 to lane 1 to win.
Yeah, he cut the corner on it, went back to the inside and then come off in the straight.
But you've got Scalapini, Vada and Splintex all rails and run like back half of this race.
But they're all definitely off the fence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other key takeaways from this meeting at Eagle Farm?
Well, not really. Still trying to work out how a couple of races ended the way they did, but bit of it's just similar to last week, really. A lot of questions that is hard to find answers for. Didn't bet a lot. I think I had 3 bets, but I won.
You won. You dressed up as Freddy. You survived. You've woken up. You're with us still. We're grateful for that, and hopefully you can sort it out with Mrs. Kells by sort of Wednesday, so you can get your head sweet to keep betting.
No, I'm actually having a wisdom tooth removed tomorrow morning, so I won't be talking to anyone. I'm actually looking forward to getting it pulled out.
The ice cream and soup diet.
How many people get a wisdom tooth done in their 40s?
Not many, I wouldn't have thought. Anyway, I anticipate I'm going to be dumber for the experience. Yeah, that was a pretty ho-hum sort of meeting once again. See what happens this week. It's thank God the Stradbroke's on this week because it's over. Oh no, we've got the Tats Tiara. So anyway, Carnival's coming to an end. The betting continues regardless.
All right, let's head to Flemington, Peter.
Yeah, absolutely. What'd you think overall? Rails in run.
I thought Rails and Run was a decent disadvantage, and I think you can sort of reward horses that were Rails and Run if they ran a solid race. Josh, what do you think?
Just looking at some of the lanes data, thanks to Punting Form, I think Rails and Run was okay, but Rails in the Straight far worse. There was one second place getter that basically out of all the first two in finishing order, there was one second place getter that was Rails and Run in the Straight, which was wishful thinking. Probably a strong form race, so you might want to give some merit to that sort of a run, but everything else was definitely off the rail. There was nothing actually that was sitting in the second lane.
You along something when I ride?
Yep.
That was a leader as well, though, so
very slow tempo. Yulong was, I thought it was blessed in its run. Very slow pace, but it did enough to get there. But yeah, there was a few that sat on the rail in run for me and did okay. Japri was one of them. Loves the track and distance, I think. But yeah, let's get more into the data.
Yeah, so let's start with race 4 in Argentia. For the Friedman team, Zara was on board. Slow tempo for the class. What are you looking at here, Dickens, for this debutant? What did you think? What did you make of it on Zebu?
I think it's really, really impressive. I think it was winning from about the 700. I think there's a lesson in this for anyone who's sort of takes their Victorian form seriously and does it themselves. Yeah, they are some of the biggest sneaks in trials. The trial and jump out game in Victoria is a disgrace and a joke. Like how we can have MBLs, which is a great thing, but still not have legitimate trials is fucking beyond me. Like you get car sickness watching them trial at Pakenham. It's disgraceful. However, the Friedman camp is very, very, very hard to read.
Okay, so in what sense? Do they just are they quiet, or are they just disappointing? Or
if you didn't know who trained them, you go, "Oh, that's no good. That's no good," and that's how I read this trial. But I just say no good. Watch market. Whereas say Hawks, I just say no good. Like it can't be backed. And then this thing was real. It's like they really wanted to be with this horse.
Yep.
There wasn't a heap of a stack of money matched this race. That the most money was on Sione, and that was the horse they probably wanted the most. But there was a lot of money for this horse. So, and again, potentially, I don't think we were doing the we weren't doing the stream by now, but I think we were on the Zoom together.
Yeah.
And I said I probably said this thing was winning so early to you guys because of all I've just said. Like I'm paranoid about them out of trials. I've seen the money come. Mark Zara's just sitting on it. It looked like he had a stack of pony. He did, but I was more focused on this horse than others. I think you can forgive Commands, whatever it's called, number 1. I didn't like what D Moore did to it at the start, but it was too bad to be true at the same time. I think you can trust that horse a little bit. I think you can trust this race a little bit. I wish we took 380 Sione to win at Geelong on the Sunday.
Yeah.
wish they went there. Like it started shorter here to win at Flemington. Fucking hell. But yeah, I quite like the race. I think it'll be a decent form race, and I reckon Argentia could be a really, really good horse. Maybe I haven't listened to anything yet or asked around, but maybe like a Guinea sort of horse. Like we've got a question about it on Twitter. This is the fastest last 200 metres of the day. Whilst they've walked early, it's his first ever start. It's pretty strong. What do you make of that, Josh?
With that question on Twitter, it's a good question. I sort of like to look at being deep in the data. I like to look at sort of what first starters do as 2-year-olds. Looking at what first starters on average do as a 2-year-old at Flemington. On the punting form data, it's about negative 1.5 lengths above benchmark on the all punting form data. Now, this horse has gone negative 4, so approximately 2.5 lengths better. So that sets a pretty good standard for sort of how good this horse is. Obviously, being at Flemington, that data is definitely driven up a bit, but I think it's got a bit of talent, a lot of talent. Its sectionals late were super. It's by the super sire Frankel, which we love. Frankels are flying in Australia at the moment, and I think I'm with Jack. It could be heading for a Guineas. They sort of love the mile. I also saw, I think it's in a Golden Rose market potentially. So yeah, just it'll definitely get further with its breeding too.
Oh, that's a good point, eh? That is a good point. Could be doing the old Kirk double.
Yeah, I like that.
That thing's at stud.
Wow. Did it even win a race?
Not in the last prep, I don't think.
Yeah, wasn't the Caulfield Guineas when Pike won for us?
That was in spring. I'm talking about autumn.
I just remember.
I don't even remember it racing again. Remember it won up the fence at Flemington. With Josh was there.
I was hitting the wrong horse. And I looked at my screen and I expected schooling. I thought I could retire, and then I looked at my screen and I hit the wrong horse. Next minute, I'm on job seeker and job keeper.
Dangerous.
It's I didn't realise it's such a blue blood.
Yeah.
It's Argentia.
Yeah, it's a nice horse.
Pity that Invincible Caviar was in the race. We might have heard about it. Otherwise, like it says a proper.
Aren't they a blessing though? Those caviars. We should have run a punting form like system check on just gapping everything by her.
And how good's moods when he gets like asked about him. He's on the radio saying, is this going to be, like the mother and all that. And then next thing he goes, yeah, it's the same colour. That's about it, and that's all he gives. So that's great. Sets the standards.
Sound bites. Thanks, Moose. Cheers.
Anyway, it's great narrative for the people that promote the sport.
Yeah, and bottom line is though, this Argentia is a horse I think we're sort of agreeing you can stamp as a pretty good horse. Follow it.
I'm backing it in every mile race with any pre-race fixed odds available now.
Good.
Is
you?
Is that even a thing?
Yeah, it's $2.50 on Lilybet to win a Group 1 over a mile.
Back it for the Doncaster in 2025.
Yeah, I want to take Argentia to win the Doncaster by 225. I think Rory McIlroy's old man did a bet like that, eh? He backed his son to win the British Open by a certain amount of year, like by whatever year, and collected. Anyway,
on to the battlers.
Fresh.
Let's talk about race 8 with Curran. It was the figure of the day.
Oh, what has happened here? Yeah. How didn't we know about it? Because someone else did. This thing is absolutely steamed. Completely steamed. I don't know how much was matched, but it was a fuckload, and it was so strong. And I felt sick before it jumped because I just can't find this horse. It's having its 7th start essentially in its first ever prep, and it's exploded. Some training performance goes good. This kid when he gets them right, like gets the most out of him. Can make some tactical errors, but they all can. It's just a jockey. So I thought it was a great ride. It's a big performance. Someone knew it was coming, and it was very, very well backed.
It's a form line, is it?
Yeah, $6 at 9 a.m. Looks like.
Oh, mate, it's a complete steam. Like it's just a fucking hill of money. Another horse. What did I want to say here? I thought that there was some merit to the Big Easy's run. Now I backed it, FYI. So you've got a bit of like bias there, but I thought he had a fair bit of pony and wasn't able to get that momentum there. Which, if you look at the data, the way I read that data, you need a momentum in this race from the sort of like 600 to the 200, especially, and he didn't get any. I thought the Big Easy went pretty good. I think Piney River was like a bit of a flash run, be over bet next start, but it was a good performance.
Can we just go back to Curran for a second? I was going to ask this before you moved on. Was this one for the SP profilers? The start before it ran second to Ayrton when it was 750, 8 touched 8, then SP 5.
For sure, yeah.
It was 100%. It's coming out of the right race. Definitely. Right, and if you open up that race on your punting form, I like to right click on the race name. So you go the Darren Getchy handicap, right click, open a new tab, right? I get up the key data view. I can look at all these horses' performances. So the next start from this Anton race, Ayrton's improved, or just gone backwards, but run second. Curran's improved by 5 lengths and 1. The Big Easy has improved by 6 lengths and run second. And then Snickerdoodle Dandy's run second and then 1. And the other horse, Yulon Command, has run 4th but improved dramatically. So it's a red-hot form race. Granted, it all makes sense, but just 7th start, first prep, just was something I couldn't get over. And what do you think about that, Curls? How would you handle 7th start, first prep?
Wow.
Don't care. Do care.
There was that little trial, wasn't there?
Yeah, so it's had a lot of.
It's had two minor placings at Sandown, and then it goes and has a little trial and comes back and goes bang bang. It's an improved lightly race, and horses can improve. That's all you can put it down to.
Yep.
Kieran and David to Lynn and Leone. I don't know what that means. Horses do the talking for it.
They have also spaced the runs as well. It's not as if they've all been consecutively. So it's had like 2 1-month breaks in the prep. Yeah. So it's had a couple of freshen ups. So
couple of freshens, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely something in that, isn't there? Yeah. Like, especially the
still
least like fashionable stables are more practical with their preparations, whereas the bigger operations is like a standard prep that we'd understand. Go away, have a spell, go to the breaker, not the breaker, we go to this farm for a spell, we go to the pre-trainer here, comes back into work, whereas these guys do it all themselves and space it.
Yeah.
There's definitely something in that. But like even the SP stuff, Curls, like the Big Easy SP 10 versus that 5 against Eton, you're getting the same sort of price here.
It was interesting in its last start, its flux after 9 a.m. 8.50 into 6.40 against Eton. And it's run better on the punting form relative gain data in its late sections of that race too. So there's some definite merit there. I think it's just as we know, Eton forms, we still don't know about Eton, but I'm pretty sure Eton's form is good enough to win another 3-year-old, open handicap at Flemington.
Yeah.
In the winter too, there's not much talent.
Yeah. And
one of the sort of, sorry, Pete, one of the takeaways I've taken is if I don't like a stage of prep sort of or a setup, but I really like everything else, which is this current, and then the market just starts steaming, then just forget that one factor that's in your head, because there's enough market intelligence saying don't worry, the horse is going well, and it's also a grey up because we couldn't be on course.
That's probably the key thing,
like
isn't
a
it?
peak horse where like if I was there or Peter was there, I would have said like we could back this horse, we need to make sure it's sweet.
Yeah.
And I suppose the market did that for us. What were you going to say, Peter?
I was just going to say, as Josh alluded to, had that market support against Eton, and although it's run within 1.3 lengths, it's completely gapped third, which is something I quite like. If I rate the winner, if I like what the winner's done, and second is gapped third, I'm happy to follow second wherever it goes next start.
Yeah, it was $420,000 matched on this horse.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
No, we've seen a couple of young horses on the up.
And now the other horse that was ultra impressive on the card, Jay Dickens, ran the 10th fastest last 200 of the meeting, over 2,000 metres, off a fast tempo, Lunar Flare.
Oh, God fucking bless this thing, eh?
What an emotional roller coaster this race was.
For anyone watching the stream.
What about the bloke, too, trying to get stuck into me for bagging the ride? I didn't like the ride. I was experimenting to see what the general public would think of the ride post-race. I was getting, called out for bagging the ride and then putting in... It's a poll. I'm not giving them 1 through 4. I'm saying, what do you guys think? Anyway, I think he wins by further if he gets blends wider. But he got the job done, Michael, and I'm greatly appreciative that he did. they make split-second decisions. Like, I'm not saying, oh, fuck you, Michael. I'm just saying, I would have preferred he went outside and was less stress involved. Because I thought he had a stack of pony.
And he did.
He did.
It's a PB, this horse. It's absolutely flying, this preparation. So it ran a PB first up, but it had run figures before that showed it's got some ability when right. But the way, like, when I scan through its Punting Form page, my gut feel is this is a horse with some talent but some issues because it doesn't sort of put them together. Then you look at this preparation and it's just delivering the goods. It's run a 10.3, then a 4.6, but that 4.6 is basically an outstanding close off a walking early tempo. And we watched that race and it sort of like just needed for if the race went for another 100 metres, it would have won. And then this race, they've gone a genuine tempo to the 600, and its platform has shone through. And God bless it. I think it can go on with it too.
Trainer's going all right this season as well. G-Beg.
Yeah. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, it was super. It was just how to stack it. Watching the replay back, it was just, God, it was hard for him to hold it, the 1,200, the 1,000. It was.
And when you look at the data for how solidly they were going.
Yeah.
It's a big.
Yeah, it's a big. Yeah, because you usually think they might, if they're over racing a bit like that in the run, you think maybe they'll peak on their run a bit during, in the straight, and then just fall in a hole. But it's gone super. I really like the run of Vegas Night. I think given the pace, it sat on speed and it looked like it was suited. But to me, I don't think it was from where the first and third came from. I thought it was a super run to hold second. It's probably I don't know if it's going to carry on anymore. It's a great Flemington horse from memory, but it'll probably get. You could imagine it'll be spelled now. It's had quite a bit, but I wouldn't mind. If it popped up at big odds, dropping back to 1,600 or something next start, I'd probably follow that. But what did you make of the second start import, 5th position?
I was just going to ask you that. All right. I'm going to say shit because I don't know if it's like how much we had on Lunar Flare and how much it like influenced the like success of the day, but I was petrified in run of 5th position and I thought, fuck me, this horse is like right in the slot. This is where most of the winners were all day. There was one other horse which swooped early in the day. Snickerdoodle Dandy came like the same sort of run, but it just got around them. Other than that, you didn't want to be as far back as Lunar Flare was, and I thought 5th position was in a really good spot. That's with D lane steering. That's as good a rider as there is. I couldn't touch it next start, but it will have that SP profile, won't it, Curls? That definitely stands up again and again and again. But I wanted to be on it in run, so therefore I'm not going to be with it next start because it wasn't good enough.
I think more key to it is the very fast paced runs it's been in. It's probably going to reach.
Yeah, it's at 2 anyway.
Yeah, so it's probably going to get to that real peak fitness. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's solid again in the market just because of that.
Yep.
Obviously, it depends what race. Can't back these things blind. Be interesting to see what race they try to go for. Maybe something at Flemington again. Seems like a big track horse.
Showed some tactical speed though there. So
yeah.
I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it at like Caulfield. You see some of these staying races at Caulfield. Yeah. If you're not in the first 4 horses, you cannot win.
Yeah.
But the way the race shape is relentlessly at the moment, like the Yonkers races.
Yeah, it's not.
I wouldn't mind seeing it. Like, go if it went to a different track, I'd be keener because I think it's got an edge versus some of these stayers with its tactical speed. And the other horse of fascination is XL Man. Like, she is very, very, very good. Great ride. He is fucking awful at Flemington. I don't know why, but he can't train winners at Flemington. The market hated it. She gave it a great ride, and it went shit house. I'd be the reverse here. This horse goes to Moonee Valley or Caulfield or wherever, and you can get a big price because it was so bad here. I'll be betting.
Yeah, we did allude to that on the preview, didn't we? That that might well be the case of the market there.
Yeah, it was a big factor in why we bet so heavily. Like why we focus on this race as the bet of like the bigger bet of the day was that the market was taking up such a big percentage of the market. And I was convinced it would double in price.
Yeah.
What else should we talk about? Is that enough?
Questions.
Yeah, question time.
Great. Few emails. Got back to a bunch of them. This is my favourite one, though. So this is from Lachlan. Lachlan gets a month worth of whatever product he wants. Surprisingly, or not, he's going to go for the platinum pack. So, tight little fucker. Anyway, boys, I'm a tradie, or almost still an apprentice, with a serious passion for horse racing and gambling. Love the show. Blah, 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 blah. 2 questions. Number 1, can you explain why your staking is so random? Brackets to me. You have 0.8, 1.5, 1.3. It's evolved over the last year. Why is that? Can you explain? So, who wants to go first there? It's a good question.
Well, whoever built the calculator out of used to can answer it.
That's Peter.
I actually round mine up to the nearest 0.25, but that's because I like to keep things neat and tidy.
And sick.
And
Yeah, so I suffer from more head noise than Peter, so I try not to touch it. I just do what it tells me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what Peter's saying is we have a calculator, basically that we're betting to win X off our assessed price, regardless of the price available, but we'll only be betting if the price available is above our assessed price.
Yeah. But if you're not rating your own prices, that's obviously impossible to do. So there's the safer alternatives. I mean, look, to be honest, level staking isn't the worst if you're starting out. Like if you just want to find out what works and what doesn't work, you can do a lot worse than level staking something. Otherwise, proportionally betting. So betting to win X amount based off the market. That's okay as well. But I guess the issue with that is you'll often, if something's already gone off, it's 4 into 3 or something like that, you're not necessarily going to get the value, or you won't know when to bet. Whereas when you've got a rated price, it basically tells you, yep, this is an overlay, we can just launch into it now. Don't have to wait.
Yep. The one other thing that I do is if there was... So that current race is a good example. We bet into that, and I halved the bet. So it tells me to have, I can't remember what I had to say. It tells me to have 2 units. The calculator, I have 1 unit because of things like current in that race that I didn't like and wasn't sure about. So it's just a way of like managing my confidence level, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's important to have as well as you get more used to wagering, which races you bet into and which races you don't bet into. Because quite often you always have something as an overlay, but that doesn't necessarily mean you should always bet.
Yeah. Josh, Curls, anything to add?
I can recommend stay being a fucking tradie.
He hasn't asked that question yet. I just
Nostradamus.
No, I suggest that you immerse yourself in any reading materials about staking, because like you can find as many winners as anyone, but if you don't bet them, if you don't understand how to bet, you can't win long term.
Yeah, that's
so. I was just quickly Googling while I wasn't listening. The name of the last book I read, which is a couple of years ago now, and I cannot think of it for the life of me what it was called, but it basically was about all different wagering types and staking types that you see, like Kelly criterion, understanding how Kelly criterion works, understanding what martingale is, which is not recommended, and understanding the value propositions and how much to bet on that overlay is, even if you don't put it into practice, understanding it is as good a step as you could possibly take.
But what's key though, is you're never going to, in my opinion. I don't feel like I understand it or know what to do. It's just this is what I'm doing at the moment, and I understand. Articulate why you never ever stop. Well, I've never ever stopped like learning and tinkering, and like that's a huge part of what we do. Like within the group, the team at the Mailbaggers, we're always chatting, and like Roden's got a stack of ideas about staking, which will challenge the way we're all thinking, and then we might change.
Mm.
Yeah,
because then you'll often hear us say things like double press pistol in the last, which is like completely fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, because we all
read it like a text,
originate from victims. We're all victims at heart. That's where we started from. We've got that
So
little
what
dish
about-
there to scratch, and that's how I scratch it.
So what my point is about the fundamentals of what staking and wagering looks like, and understanding the mathematics of it is one thing. Application and adjusting your application of that knowledge then into your own betting is the next step, and there's a possibility you'll never find like a finite position on that, because it's forever evolving.
Yeah, but provided you're evolving, you just keep getting a little bit better.
Yeah.
Josh, anything to add?
I think if you don't price up races at the moment, I think like Peter, I'm with Peter as well. Flat staking or proportional is great. Proportional, always really good in my mind. If you make what Jack was saying a little bit and have a confidence level on a certain runner. So if you've got a runner on Saturday, you liked Curran, you said, hey, if I'm out of an end race, I'm pretty confident the other things in the market in that race I possibly couldn't have them, or if it's a system that you're getting, good form race, then, and you say that's a level 3, then you have, $1,000 on bet to win $1,000 on that. And then if it was a level 2, you have bet to win 750, bet to win 500 for a low confidence level race, because you just want to get something out of it. That's sort of how I would go about these things if you didn't have pricing. But I have the pricing as well. I have the price. I do the same as Jack and Pete. We bet to win X amount on your price, and in the long term, it should, if your pricing is efficient, and key is like betting at the right point in the market too. So knowing that you beat the market from 9 a.m. If you're not beating the market, then probably just play on Betfair late if you want. I think there's always edges in the market late on Betfair. You just got to know what's a really bad move in terms of drifts and things like that after 9 a.m. But yeah, and like Curls was saying, there's plenty of content out there. There's a book that I read called Fortune's Formula, which is about the Kelly criterion and the mathematics behind it, which is a pretty good read. And there's more content out there. I can give some tips if you want on Twitter.
But also, I think just keep asking questions, because this guy's a tradie, so he's like me. You're not going to be reading that book. But if you are more intelligent, like Curly and Josh, then read the books if you're just watching. But I just don't reckon this guy's a reader
from your experience.
Yeah. That's a great answer though, Josh. It's like I couldn't agree with you anymore. Spot on. Yeah.
Was there a part 2 to the question from Lockie?
Yeah, sorry, I've changed the page. Yeah. What would you guys do if in my position as your first step out of a trade and into punting full time, which Curly's already... Curly, you start.
All right, so apart from gamble responsibly, don't do it, all those sort of things. So to answer the question seriously, I think one of the things that you need to do is work out rough in your head for your own benefit. How much do you need to win a week? What bank size are you taking with you to bet for a living? And if you are going to bet for a living and you're going to run off a bank, you're going to need to understand staking, because you'll blow it up and be back on the tools very quickly.
Yeah.
So if you're winning, right, on the punt at 10% profit on turnover consistently for a 12-month period, for a sale or a lifetime, if you just do some basic maths, right, you're winning at 10% profit on turnover, and you need to make $1,000 a week off the punt. You need to be betting $10,000 a week.
Yeah, so that can be...
So if you're betting $10,000 a week, I haven't got the math in front of me, but it would depend on your winning strike rate, your long-term winning strike rate, which would help determine what your betting bank would be. So, if you need to understand your average, you need to take some notes over the next 6 to 12 months, record every bet.
Yeah, but
work out your winning average price.
And you should probably, you guys might want to touch on it. What do you like? when you bet proportionally, how much do you bet to win of your bank size as well, which is another key point probably that you should take. Is you don't want to be betting more than, sometimes I say it's like 5%, around about 5% sort of a thing.
Yeah, I'd
betting to win. So you're not betting 5% of your bank. You're betting to win that amount. So it's always probably less. But yeah, that's probably another key point, because that says, you're betting to win 5%. There could be, you might have to go through 30 outs, 30 to 40 outs in a row, and then your bank will be deteriorated. But then you should also be changing your bank as you go up or go down. So then you technically, the maths of it, you would never ever hit that point where the bank turns zero, hypothetically. But that's not.
Who gives a fuck? Like,
yeah, but that's how you learn. That's how you learn.
From what I'm reading, Lachlan, I'm assuming you're just almost out of your trade. So you could be like 19, 21. You probably haven't got a mortgage. You might not even be paying rent. Hopefully you don't have kids yet. Have no fear. Now, I wouldn't leave your job. Go. I'm going to take off. You're almost a tradie, so you're qualified and you're a little bit cheaper than the actual trade. So you pick up work on Saturdays like that. I'd take off a Wednesday or a Tuesday and focus on Perth or one joint and just slowly chip away at that. I'd get a Punting Form subscription and start to focus on a small pool of horses, a small pool of trainers, a small pool of jockeys, and you'll never figure out, especially the last two, jockeys and trainers, that you just get a better understanding of what they're trying to do. And you don't need to win because you're still working on the tools and you have no actual real fucking commitments to pay in your life, which one day you will. So if you're daunted by trying to take on this lifestyle challenge at 21, you're never going to do it at 31 when you've got a mortgage and 2 kids. So go for it. Don't worry about what you win though. Just if you blow up a bank, the amount of shit you're going to learn by doing that is so valuable. But the cost of that's going to be so big when you're 30 versus when you're 20.
Yeah, but also at the same time, know what you're going to do if and when you blow up the bank, because at some point you're probably going to blow up the bank.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is, like, the bank could be $1,000, and you're just going to bet it properly though. So you're going to try and win 10% of $1,000. Like, you don't have to wait till your bank's 30,000 to win enough to pay the shit. Like, because you're in a good position in your life where if you just put $5,000, 2,000 into a Betfair account, spread 2,000 over some plastic accounts, and you can just bet with discipline. And then if you wanted to get turnover up, I'd be buying stuff like Pete's. Although that's where you should probably start betting though, is actually in Perth. Someone who bets consistently, wins consistently. It's just outside in earn for you. That's how I use it. That makes sense? Probably not. I tried. Hopefully it does, Lachlan. Anything to add, Peter? Josh?
Not really. Not really. You have to treat it like a profession, though. You've got to put the time in. You can't just sort of say, I'm just going to put in a couple of hours skimming through the form a week and expect to do better than the big syndicates that have an army of people watching replays and crunching numbers and monitoring markets.
Yeah,
but if you're consistent,
would you focus somewhere that's small?
Yeah, 100%. I would say, as you said, like South Australia, WA, that would be the two. Tasmania.
Yeah.
And Tasmania actually has a lot of night racing.
Yeah.
Which again would be good, so that you're not like completely dependent on this as an income. Well, the amount of head noirs that comes from like needing to win versus just like perfecting the art. I certainly enjoy the game a lot more on Monday and Tuesday when I'm reviewing, talking to Curly, Pete and Josh and Roden than like on a Saturday when I need to deliver.
Yeah. But it's all about consistency at the end of the day. Whatever you do, just be consistent. Keep chipping away. Keep notes if you have to. Yeah. Have some form of note keeping.
The best place to keep notes is on Punting Form.
100%. The cheapest place to keep horse racing notes by a mile. Yeah. Boys, week ahead. That'll do us for the questions. But Lachlan gets whatever he wants. The best question each week will get whatever they want for a month.
Yeah.
What are you doing this week, Peter? Where you betting, bro?
I've got Northam today for WA Day. And then I'm assuming we're back at...
Formerly known as?
Foundation Day.
Only in Perth.
But yeah, then I assume it's just Belmont for the rest of the week.
Curls?
Midweek racing heads to the Sunshine Coast on Wednesday. Then we have a standalone extravaganza at Dolby on Friday, featuring the fast class Bottle Mart Sellers benchmark 65 over 1788. And then we go to
16 meetings on a Saturday.
yeah, headlined by the Stradbroke Handicap, which, like we did Saturday just gone, we'll probably avoid all those big group races and just profit a few units out wide.
Something wrong with that.
Wonderful.
We've got Ballarat Synthetic. We've had a bet there today. This will be probably not out by the time it's run. Although it's in the last. Sale Wednesday, which looks okay. Swan Hill Carnival this week, which will be interesting. But yeah, it's not going to be a huge week of turnover, but it's going to be solid enough. So yeah, we're betting today. Definitely bet Wednesday. Got a Ballarat Turf meeting Thursday. Swan Hill Carnival and Ladbrokes Park Sandown, Royal Sandown. Saturday standalone with a bit of Donald.